This could be the most shocking video you have ever seen in your entire life, because what I'm about to reveal will shatter everything you thought you knew about the crucifixion. There's a reason, a very specific, terrifying reason why Jesus died at exactly 3 p.m. And it's not what your pastor told you. It's not what you learned in Sunday school. In fact, this truth has been deliberately obscured for centuries, because once you see it, you can never unsee it. You'll realize that the crucifixion wasn't just a historical event, it was a cosmic surgery performed at the exact moment when heaven and earth had to collide. By the end of this video, you'll discover why 3 p.m. is the most dangerous hour in human history, why Jesus couldn't die 1 second earlier or later, and the shocking ancient secret that connects your present moment to that Friday afternoon 2,000 years ago. But I'm warning you, this isn't comfortable Christianity. This is the raw, unfiltered truth they don't want you thinking about too deeply. Before we dive into these mysteries, I need you to do something important. Hit that subscribe button right now and tap the notification bell. Why? Because what I'm sharing today is just the beginning. The revelations coming in future videos will go even deeper into secrets that have been hidden from mainstream Christianity for centuries. If you don't subscribe, the algorithm will bury this content and you'll never see it again. So subscribe now, drop a like on this video to help others discover this truth, and let's descend into the mystery together. Jerusalem, 33 AD. 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. But this isn't just any Friday. This is the Friday that splits human history into before and after. The Friday when two events, 200 yards apart, synchronized with such precision that calling it coincidence would be intellectual cowardice. Inside the temple, a priest's hand trembles as he positions a blade against a lamb's throat. The shofar blast echoes, blood flows. On Golgotha, a dying man lifts his tortured head and screams into the darkness, "It is finished." Same city, same second. But here's what will make your blood run cold. This exact moment was scheduled 1,400 years in advance. Not predicted, not prophesized, scheduled, programmed into the fabric of reality like code in a computer system. And the architects of modern religion desperately hope you never discover why. The first secret, the HYSSOP conspiracy. Let me show you something that's been hidden in plain sight, something so obvious that it's invisible. We're going back to Exodus 12, verses 21 to 23, but we're going to read it like we've never been taught to ignore what it's actually saying. Moses receives instructions that sound simple. Take hyssop, dip it in blood, brush it on the doorframe. Now here's where it gets disturbing. Hyssop wasn't chosen randomly. In the ancient world, hyssop was the symbol of blood purification. When David cries out in Psalm 51:7, "Cleanse me with hyssop," every Jewish person knew he wasn't talking about gardening. He was talking about the removal of sin through blood sacrifice. Hyssop equals blood atonement. This is non-negotiable ancient knowledge. So fast forward 1,400 years to Golgotha. Jesus is dying. The Gospels could have said they used a branch or a stick or any generic term, but John 19:29 is laser specific. They put a sponge full of sour wine on hyssop and held it to his mouth. Do you understand what you just read? The same plant used to apply lamb's blood in Egypt is now touching the lips of God's lamb in Jerusalem. After receiving wine on this hyssop branch, and only after, Jesus declares, "It is finished." This isn't symbolism. This is a divine signature being stamped across time. God is screaming at you through the details. I planned this. Every micro element was designed. This is not an accident. But here's the part that will truly disturb you. Modern translations have actually tried to obscure this. Some Bibles translate the Greek word hyssopos as simply a stalk or a plant. They're deliberately blurring the connection, because once you see the hyssop thread connecting Egypt to Calvary, you realize you're looking at a mind that operates outside of time, a mind that writes endings into beginnings, a mind that terrifies us because it means we're not in control. He is. The hyssop wasn't just present at both events. It was the signature on a contract written before the foundation of the world. The second secret, the cross hidden in Egypt. Now we go deeper, darker, more forbidden. The blood application in Exodus wasn't random either. God gave explicit, non-negotiable instructions about how to apply the blood. And when you see the pattern, your reality will crack open. Exodus 12:22. Take the blood and put it on the top of the doorframe and on both sides. Let me walk you through this slowly because your pastors rushed past it. First, you move horizontally across the top beam of the door. Then you move vertically, up and down on both side posts. Horizontal, then vertical. Horizontal beam, then 2 vertical posts. Do you see it yet? You're tracing a cross. 14 centuries before crucifixion was invented as Roman execution, God made the Israelites paint crosses on their doors with lamb's blood. Think about what this means. Really think about it. God embedded the image of his son's execution method into the Exodus from Egypt. He hid Calvary inside the Exodus. The cross existed as a prophetic symbol before it existed as a historical object. But here's where it becomes terrifying. This means Jesus wasn't plan B. He wasn't God's response to humanity's sin after everything went wrong. The cross was plan A from before time began, before Adam sinned, before the serpent spoke, before light split from darkness. The slaughter was always scheduled. And God has been leaving clues in history like breadcrumbs, waiting for people brave enough to follow them. The third secret, why 3 p.m. was non-negotiable. Now we arrive at the revelation that will recalibrate everything, the exact moment of death, and why it had to be 3 p.m., not 2:59, not 3:01, but precisely, exactly, unerringly 3 p.m. To understand this, you need to see what was happening inside the temple at that exact moment. According to the Mishnah and first-century Jewish practice, the Passover lamb was slaughtered at the 9th hour, 3 p.m. by our modern calculation.
But it's bigger than that. From the time of Moses until the time of Jesus, the entire sacrificial system operated on an exact schedule. 2 sacrifices every single day, no exceptions, no holidays, no breaks. 9 a.m. and 3 p.m., morning and afternoon, every day for 1,400 years. The altar never went cold, the blood never stopped flowing. Josephus records that during one Passover, they calculated approximately 256,500 lambs were slaughtered. Even if we account for his exaggeration and divide by 3, we're looking at nearly 100,000 lambs dying in a single afternoon. Picture this. Jerusalem's gutters weren't dripping red, they were gushing red like burst water mains. One ancient witness described it as rivers of blood flowing through the streets like a torrential downpour. The entire city was a slaughterhouse. The stench of death was everywhere. The sound of bleeding lambs being cut down by the thousands filled the air. And in the middle of this ocean of blood, a priest climbs to his position on the Temple Mount. He holds a shofar. Below him, another priest holds a knife against a lamb's throat. The city holds its breath. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The horn sounds, the knife cuts. 3 p.m. Now watch what Mark 15:25 tells us. It was the third hour when they crucified him. That's 9 a.m., the exact moment of the morning sacrifice. Jesus is nailed to the cross at the precise instant a lamb is being killed in the temple. Then, Mark 15:33-34, when the sixth hour came, darkness fell until the ninth hour. Jesus hangs for 6 hours. At the stroke of 3 p.m., the exact moment designated for the Passover lamb slaughter, Jesus screams, "It is finished," and dies. 200 yards apart, the same second, a priest cuts a lamb's throat in the temple, God's lamb dies on Golgotha. Do you understand what you're seeing? This isn't God allowing events to align nicely. This is God conducting a symphony across 1,400 years, orchestrating every note, every rest, every crescendo to collide at the exact same moment. Jesus couldn't die at 2 p.m. The lamb hadn't been slaughtered yet. He couldn't die at 4 p.m. The moment would have passed. The prophetic window would have closed. The types and shadows would have failed to align. 3 p.m. wasn't preference, it was precision. It was a divine appointment scheduled before the foundation of the world and executed with millisecond accuracy. The fourth secret, the veil and God's broken heart. But we're not done. There's one more layer that most people completely miss, something so intimate, so emotionally devastating that it exposes the heart of God in a way nothing else does. The moment Jesus dies, Matthew 27:51 records, "The veil of the temple was torn in two, from top to bottom." Now, this veil wasn't a curtain you hang in your bathroom. This was a massive barrier, 60 feet high, 30 feet wide, and 4 to 6 inches thick. It was designed to separate the Holy of Holies, where God's presence dwelt, from everyone else. Only the high priest could pass through it, and only once per year. When Jesus died, this impenetrable barrier was ripped from top to bottom, not bottom to top, which would indicate human hands, top to earth. God himself tore it. Everyone focuses on the theological meaning. Now we have access to God. The barrier is removed. Yes, that's true, but you're missing something that would have made every Jewish person gasp in horror and recognition. In Jewish culture, when someone died, especially a beloved family member, you ripped your garments. You ripped them from top to bottom as a sign of grief, anguish, and loss. Job did it when his children died. Jacob did it when he thought Joseph was dead. David did it when Saul was killed. To this day, at Jewish funerals, mourners wear a torn piece of fabric called a kriya attached to their clothing. So when the veil tore from top to bottom at the exact moment Jesus died, Jewish readers didn't just see access being granted, they saw a father ripping his garments in anguish over the death of his son.
God wasn't watching the crucifixion from a detached, emotionless distance. He was in agony. The torn veil was his kriya, his torn garment, his public declaration of grief. The barrier came down, yes, but it came down because the Father's heart was breaking. Think about what happened cosmically at 3 p.m. The Son screamed, "Why have you forsaken me?" The Father is ripping the temple veil with his own hands in grief. Darkness covers the earth, the ground shakes, rocks split open, the dead rise from their graves. This wasn't just a man dying, this was reality itself being torn apart and reconstructed. This was the moment when sin and death were being murdered by death himself. This was God performing cosmic surgery on the universe. And it had to happen at 3 p.m. because every element had to align. The hyssop, the cross pattern, the sacrificial timing, the torn veil, every detail interlocking like gears in a watch. The revelation that changes everything. Here's what this means for you, right now, in this moment. The crucifixion wasn't a response to human failure. It was the plan from the beginning. God didn't look at humanity's sin and think, okay, I guess I'll send my son to fix this mess. No, the Lamb was slain from the foundation of the world, Revelation 13:8. Before Adam sinned, the cross existed in God's mind. Before the serpent spoke, Jesus' death was scheduled. Before light existed, the plan for 3 p.m. on that Friday was set. Which means your redemption isn't an afterthought. It's not damage control. It's not plan B. You were worth the cross before you even existed, before you sinned, before you failed, before you fell. The hyssop in Egypt was for you. The blood on the doorposts was for you. The 3 p.m. timing was for you. The torn veil was for you. Every detail across 1,400 years was meticulously, obsessively, passionately designed to bring you home. The question you can't avoid. So here's the question that you can no longer escape. Has the blood been applied to your life? The Passover lamb didn't care how good the family was inside the house. It didn't matter if they were righteous or wicked, successful or broken, religious or irreligious. The only question that mattered when the angel of death came to the door was, is there blood on the doorposts? That's the only question that matters for you, not how good you've been, not how many times you've been to church, not what your parents believed or what denomination claims you. Is there blood on your doorposts? Because the angel of death is still making rounds. One day, maybe today, maybe decades from now, he will come to your door, and there will be only 2 outcomes, Passover or judgment. The lamb has already been slain. The blood has already been spilled. The work is finished. Jesus said so at 3 p.m. on that Friday. The veil is already torn. Access is already granted. But the blood must be applied. You must receive it personally. You must repent, acknowledge that you need a sacrifice you can never provide, and you must believe, trust that Jesus is that sacrifice and that his finished work is sufficient. Not your works, not your effort, not your religious performance, his finished work. The secret they don't want you to know. Here's the final secret, the one that terrifies religious institutions. Salvation is simpler and more radical than they've told you. It's not about climbing a ladder of spiritual achievement. It's about receiving a gift you don't deserve and could never earn. It's about blood applied to doorposts. It's about a father who orchestrated every detail across 1,400 years just to bring you home. The cross wasn't just where Jesus died, it's where death itself died. It's where sin's power was annihilated. It's where the barrier between you and God was obliterated forever. And it all happened at exactly 3 p.m. because God operates with precision that transcends time itself. The hyssop touches Christ's lips. The cross pattern is fulfilled. The lamb dies at the appointed hour. The veil tears from top to bottom, and the Father's heart breaks in public grief over the Son he loves. All for you, all scheduled before time began, all executed with perfect precision at 3 p.m. on a Friday afternoon in Jerusalem. This isn't religion. This is reality. This is the truth they've tried to bury under comfortable sermons and sanitized theology. This is the raw, terrifying, beautiful truth. God loves you enough to schedule the death of his Son with millisecond accuracy across 1,400 years just to bring you home. The only question left is, will you let the blood be applied to your life? Because 3 p.m. wasn't just a moment in history. It was the moment when history itself was rewritten, when the barrier came down, when the sacrifice was complete, when the Lamb who was slain from the foundation of the world finally, publicly, dramatically fulfilled every shadow, every type, every prophecy. It is finished. The work is done. The blood is available. The door is open. Now the choice is yours.